Hello and welcome to Briefly Everything, where we take all of history and put it on a timeline to give it all context. My name's Felix and I'm ready to start if you are. Now, last episode we talked only about the Bible actually, and today we'll only talk about ancient China. We'll start around 1600 BCE. But before, I would like to say goodbye to the Bible for now, and let's move on now to the Far East. And before we move on to 1600 BCE, according to the legend, China had actually a mythical period when it was under the Xia Dynasty through 2070 to 1600 BCE. We don't have substantial information from this period, and it didn't look like they were united nor sophisticated enough yet, which is why it's commonly agreed that the next dynasty, the Shang Dynasty, would officially be the first Chinese dynasty here. Now, if you meet a Chinese person, they'll say 博大精深, which, as I speak Chinese know, means China's culture is long and prosperous, and it actually is 5,000 years old, is what they'll always say as a common fact. That's because they've started counting from when primitive civilizations were found back then, so I might disappoint you here by starting Chinese history here instead. You're obviously free to interpret this starting date as you'd like, but know that Briefly Everything, this history course right here, does it here, which still makes Chinese history 4,000 years old, so I guess that's still braggable indeed. Now, 1600 BCE, moving on to our official timeline and our starting date for today. So, talking about a time where we have substantial evidence, we need to go to this date, 1600 BCE. Like so many other civilizations, the Shang Dynasty emerged from around China's two mightiest rivers, the Yangtze and the Yellow River, and the Chinese were great at making bronze tools and weapons, which you can see from some of the pictures that I found for you here. Now, there are findings of advanced writing during this time as well. The Chinese would ask their gods quite specific things like, hello there, God, will we win the battle tomorrow? Or will it rain next week? Or will this video get 1,000 likes? You know, just daily stuff like that, you know. They would actually carve their questions then into oracle bones, heat them up, and when they cracked, they would interpret those cracks as messages from the gods. Looking at the Chinese language now back then, it's quite incredible how intact it's been over 4,000 years. Chinese is and has always been a pictographic language, which means characters are representative images of what they mean, and they've evolved from these scripts. Here's for instance the character for horse, and through the years we've had all of these different scripts, you see, starting from the oracle bone here and then moving all the way until today, where it will look something like this. Not so different after all, right? Quite incredible, 4,000 years later they don't look that much apart still. By the way, funny enough, we found forks in China from this time. It was supposedly used for the ruling class. I just feel like that turns all of history on its head. Ancient China, not using chopsticks, but forks instead? History is indeed very weird. Only 4,000 years later, the Western world would start using the fork, which the Chinese had since long ditched to go for the chopsticks instead. So maybe chopsticks are the way to go after all. Let's skip the debate and just settle with that conclusion. And on that profound culinary note, I will leave you. Thank you for watching, and make sure you never stop learning. By the way, if you never want to stop learning, one way that I've been able to financially support this channel is by doing my main job, which is teaching Chinese. Have a look at Domino Chinese. That is my baby, which I'm very proud of. It's an app and it's a website, and you'll learn Chinese in no time. If you enjoy this course, then I'm sure you'll enjoy that course as well, or actually even more, because I actually get paid for doing that kind of stuff. Wonderful. Today we've talked about ancient China. We've defined when it started and why it started at that time. We've discussed its language and even the birth of the fork, and plenty more. And on a last note there, before I bid you goodbye, if you can't wait for the next video to drop but just want to keep learning stuff, then I'd very much recommend using this promo code. It gives you 1 month free access with all the premium features as well on our website. So yeah, put that code in, join the platform, and in a month, I'm sure you'll be coming back to me saying, oh, good decision, Felix, thank you for the advice. That's it. Today we've talked about ancient China. In the next episode, we'll move 100 years closer to the present tense as we look at ancient Greece and ancient India. See you there, and goodbye.